Hey, Craig. So we just had a time skip. Uh, our adventurers finished up in Guangzhou, China, uh, overthrowing in some ways the Abomination and the Bayuchu Medical Company in order to rescue May. Um, May is now in the possession of an artifact of the ancients, the rod of transfer that Jonas seemed to give to her in some way. She certainly earned by surviving the battle and being able to escape, but was seemingly very purposely left for her to collect, and has now spent this time studying it. This device used by the Abomination as part of his its experiments. Um, uh, in order to create strange new creatures, some potentially from what May overheard as potential soldiers or weapons for the Chinese government, others given to Jonas and being tested as soldiers in his army or agents of his. Um, and uh, yes, just a you came face to face with one of the triumvirate for the first time, although the Abomination did manage to escape. Um, at the same time, Jonas made overtures to May, as well as May's reflection, Andy, and everybody else felt a little more obvious touch of Jonas speaking in your mind or uh, influencing events that affect you. And it seems that although fish is the source, May is not an outlier, and you are all sort of entangled with Jonas's power in various ways. As you left Guangzhou, you were told that you were witness to essentially the Heavenly House of the Ram taking control of the city fully again, kicking out the Bayuchu Medical Company and taking over the Abomination's facilities in order to stop the capture and experimentation of some of their citizens. And as part of that, a sort of a political shift in the landscape of that region. Um, so that your allies, the Heavenly House, have more of a say in the way things are run. Unfortunately, probably not the last you'll see of the Abomination. It's a big country. If he wants to stay in China, and obviously it's a big world if he doesn't. But one city did not completely cut the legs out from whatever operation he is conducting. As you all recovered and left Guangzhou for Hong Kong, ready to return home, um, dealing with the various stresses and conflicts of meeting your reflections and uh, finding you were tied to Jonas and the uncomfortableness of your relationships to each other. Um, the Uh, um, yes. May shouts through that metaphorical window like 4 times a day just to see if she can get a response. Um, you were all ending up in a very fragile place when it turned out that Caligulus got word that Elyse had actually been missing for some time and had not been seen almost since the last time Cal saw her, and is missing after going to help some of her uh, chapels that had seen or been attacked by this strange hound-like being or person that uh, that whistles, that has been haunting necromancers the world over, and Kel has been investigating. There was also interpersonal conflict, a growing tension between Cal and Fish after witnessing the relationship between their reflections, growing trouble with the format of their relationship in regards to Kekino, and Caligulus requesting not to be called Mom anymore, which was deeply upsetting, and Jonas poking and prodding whenever conflict was on the horizon, resulting in Fish packing their bags and leaving rather than coming home with the others, seemingly abandoning everything. And with that, we will start in with Fish. Do you not want to go first?
I'm putting in my spells.
Oh, okay. Well, we can pause. We can go to someone else instead.
No, it's fine. Let's do me.
Okay. As the others prepare for trying to find Elise, trying to investigate Jonas and the rod of transference, uh, Fish packs their bags, bubbles Kekino, and heads out into the city. I think Fish probably doesn't have a destination in mind the moment they leave, but once they are out, and there's only a couple places locally, and so after crossing the border, you end up at the doorstep of the Reflections house. Um, it is not a warm welcome by any means. Uh, Kala and Chantilly are there. Your somewhat brother Ezekiel is not. So it is only after they come back home and kind of smooth things out that Fish is allowed out of probably the magical cage that springs up when they step on the doorway. Uh, there is a tense moment of people standing on their pride before uh, Fish is allowed in, and eventually ends up spending a week with the Reflections. Andy has disappeared, came and spoke to Kala about a mission taking her out of town and requested healing a little bit early, and has seemingly dipped. So Fish, although asking for a bedroom in the house, ends up getting Andy's shed in the backyard.
And
And
it's great.
and it's great. It looks like it's like a doomsday bunker if the walls were wood instead of concrete. It's just like a military surplus cot, a bunch of foot chests, and like um, uh, rope and grapples and equipment and stuff hanging on the walls. There's not a lot of like um, personal touches here in Andy's space, and you spend a week with the Reflections. At first, it's very uncomfortable. There's especially a lot of moments with Kala where it's just, you're chatting with everybody, and then people got to leave the room, and you end up just alone with Kala with nothing to say, and they glare at you for a little while. But
Yeah,
thing,
they're not talking to her either.
yeah, there's a lot of conversation about you, whispered not very quietly between Zeke and Kala, but Zeke argues for you staying, and after a little while, you are accepted by the rest of the household, even if Kala is pretty cold. You spend some time with Zeke, visit Dad a couple more times, and of course, it's good for Kekino to visit. He and one Kek are always romping around the house like a couple of puppies, and it's good to take his mind off things. And although he asks where Caligulus went, uh, seems like he is distracted enough for now to not be in too much pain. And I think this is where Fish starts peering into the connections between themselves and Jonas, between Jonas and the others, spending a little bit of time meditating with Zeke, checking in with Dad, and trying to figure out how this all works. Um, you said that you wanted to peel back Jonas's connections, especially to your friends and especially to May, which I think rather than an Arcana check, because it has to do with your friends, is more of a charisma-based check. So I would say most likely give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. Yes. Fish has seen like that Jonas has made this connection with May, even if she's not like hasn't gone into detail about it. And they're like, "Well, I've been there, so let's help you out with that." Uh, Even though they have fucked off.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Persuasion, regrettably, 11.
Okay. As you meditate and reach out to these uh, connections, seeing once again the full cancerous expanse of Jonas's influence, you track down the tendrils of it to your friends. You see the greatest clusters around Caligulus and May, but others lesser. You see tendrils reaching out to Metal, to Isle, to Sarah, and to Goaf, and uh, a lot of other people that you know, including Jamal and Sinner. But you focus in on May, tracking this growth as it gets thinner. And as it seems to intertwine and dig into May, the cluster of connections you have with May, you start to grab hold of it, and yank it out. It's hard, it resists you, and you feel like if you did too much too fast, there is a potential for pain. Maybe pain for you, maybe pain for May. Things dug in a little too deeply. But you start to get through it, pulling out these connections, Jonas starting to retreat. And finally, there is no more give. Jonas still has a strong connection with May. Something resists you. Something pushes back against you. And you can't quite free her. And as you start to pull, you can almost feel a silent scream across the threads. So instead, in frustration and anger, you turn around and tear at some other pieces of Jonas, the other ends of the connection. And as you get your metaphorical hands around a growth piece of your soul Jonas has infected that you can see digs into the others and especially into May, you pull and pull and start to feel pain yourself. Do you continue pulling?
Do I get a sense of this is only affected, the pain is only affecting me, or is it affecting my
Yes.
friends as well?
You don't get any sense that is affecting any of the others. You think that got as much as you could with May, and this is only you. But it may help your friends, you think.
If it's only hurting me, then yeah, let's go a little bit further.
All right. As you pull, yank, separate, blinding pain in your eyes, actually taking you out of your meditation, waking you up physically. You have the killer headache behind your eyes. Everything seems fuzzy and out of focus. But slowly over the next few days, you recover. You don't know what that did yet, but it did do something. And there is a chunk of Jonas that is no longer entwined with you. A piece that, injured as you were, is free. And May is more free than she was before, although you still see that tendril entwined with her, the thing clinging to her, the thing resisting you. It's possible, it at least crosses your mind with that persuasion roll, that perhaps there is a reciprocity. Perhaps you can only fully release someone when they want to be released. Perhaps there is a piece of May that doesn't want to let Jonas go. And I think it is at the end of this struggling that you realize that what your friends want is not necessarily what you want. That doesn't mean you can't help them. And you start making some calls, start traveling, and midway through your second week of the time skip, Caligulus gets word of a visitor and finds Kekino wearing a little backpack full of toys at her door, as Fish is off trying to help in their own way behind the scenes. And with that, I want your next roll. This is going to be trying to gather up support, both material support and personal support, for the potential rescuing of Elyse or anything else that your friends need, as you start with calls and then eventually start traveling, visiting old friends. I think that,
Especially like Sarah was already probably on the list, but like now especially Sarah, because it's like, hey, you okay? By the way,
yeah, absolutely. You start checking in on all of these people that have a little touch of Jonas, and while you're there, try and find some other way to help. I think this is most likely also a charisma check. So there is there's a lot of potential support from potential sources, so I think I'm going to make the DC a little bit higher, and you make a persuasion or other type of charisma check with advantage. That way we get a little bit more of a spread.
yeah, I'll just do persuasion again.
Okay.
Worse.
Really?
Yes.
You did advantage, right?
No. I wasn't listening to that part.
That part's important.
Okay, well, it's going to be whatever this role is because it's not going to be that one. Oh, yeah, much better. 15.
Okay. With a 15, you start making calls and you start traveling. You end up first calling in and checking on some people. Isle is Isle. There's not a lot that can be said about that. As you talk to her, you find out that she's traveling right now and is actually fairly close to the mountains in which Cal's temple resides. Thinking about coming in for a visit there, thinking about maybe stopping in at the sanctuary, some personal business to take care of. And as you ask if she can do anything, if you can help or contribute in any way, she uh, offers her help. She's not the most reliable or consistent person ever, but she is there for her friends when she's needed. And so, uh, at some point in the time skip, a large wolf being followed by a now fully grown sheep wander into Cal's temple. As Kakarot goes, "Wolf! Also Isle!" And we will resolve what happens with that with Cal's time skip things. With a 15, you yourself stop in at the sanctuary. Um, Things are recovered from what the benefactor did, although, as always in government, it is hectic. You stop in to chat with now administrator Dean, who is, of course, from Cleveland. Um, and he is not drowning in the work that he needs to do, so that's good. Not really keeping ahead of it, not nearly as effective an administrator as Tone was, but not as experienced either. And just the entire time you're chatting with him is very distracted. Just like, oh, yeah, hey, fish, yeah, yeah, no, that sounds terrible. I mean, yeah, there's no, just uh, no, just put it in my mailbox. Just put it in my mailbox. It's fine. No, okay. Yes, all right. Okay, so yeah, you said Denier's sister. Yeah, no, that's a problem. We've had she's a necromancer, I assume. Yeah, yeah, we've had
Something like that.
yeah, we've had some complaints about necromancers going missing. It seems like mostly they want to consider it an internal issue, but of course we've got an agent keeping some of the paperwork on that, taking some notes and things like that. We can, yeah, just no, just 5 o'clock. The meeting's at 5. Wait until then. We can get you some of that info, and if you want to stop in and talk to Gopher or Dr. Cat or anyone like that, maybe they can give you some material support. We'll get you the paperwork and yeah, I can't approve any equipment or anything like that. But if you want to purchase anything directly from
Yeah.
Gopher, such, that's fine. And anything they want to volunteer. Gopher doesn't have any sanctuary projects currently, just personal projects. Dr. Ket is a little bit busy, but they'll probably be able to squeeze you in if you want to head over and visit. I'm sorry, I really have to go, but it was great seeing you again. Come back anytime, and you know, um, we've we don't need detectives as much as we did before with uh, Grand Mage Crown, but the other detective team speaks pretty highly of you. So if you wanna come back, we always need agents. We are having a lot of trouble in Southeast Asia right now. So if you want a
Oh,
job,
no shit. Yeah, we'll talk about that. You still sober?
I am still sober. I've actually
All right, we'll
I
talk over
started.
dinner then.
All right. I started sponsoring actually, as this like calls down the hall as he
Really? Oh,
wanders away.
dude. Oh, okay, that's great. You gotta go. Here's the thing: I did come in at 4:59, and you are having a meeting at 5. So go on.
Yep. Good seeing you, Fish.
Yeah, bye.
um, you wander through the sanctuary, maybe feeling a little displaced. This place was your home for a little bit of time, and you felt very comfortable here. You're walking through, and you know you don't recognize people as much. People don't stop and chat with you as much. You don't recognize as many faces. It's just like, oh yeah, you know, things moved on. Time moved on. And it's with a little bit of that melancholy that you end up running into Gof and Jolly. They are so happy to see you. They Gof really excitedly shows you at some of his new inventions, which are, uh, as always, incredibly interesting, incredibly helpful, also possibly the weirdest things you've ever seen. And now that you've been spending more time, especially recently with May, a much more traditional arcanist, you have an even better appreciation of being like, you know, that's incredible. You made a robotic mouth that chews food, and out the end, it comes in little, like, compressed travel cakes that don't go bad for 5 years. Magically, that's incredible. Why the fuck would you do it that way?
And why do they all taste like licorice?
Why do they all taste like licorice? Every single one, and not the same. You put in two identical sandwiches. One tastes like black licorice, one tastes like red licorice, and there's no logic behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Well,
Fish!
I love that you've done this. Hey, yeah, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's
I
all
love that
great.
you've done this, but also why?
Well, I was thinking, we got a lot of agents and stuff that they got to travel. We got Canada's a big country, a lot of woodlands. We've brought in a lot more of our kind of native mages friends, and
Nice,
getting to
nice.
them visiting. Teleporters have become a lot less reliable last couple of years, so there's a lot of like overland travel. You need food that lasts. Food that's not going to go bad. Food you can chuck in a bag. You drop it in the bottom of the river. You pick it out of the river. Still good. Still tastes exactly the same. The licorice is not intentional, but I don't entirely know how to fix it. So working on that. Jaws got some ideas. But
I get it.
yeah, yeah. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it so much. I just published an interesting paper, not about the licorice thing, but about some other stuff. It's boring. You don't need to worry about it. But the thing is, I just kind of like cleared my plate, and this licorice thing is fucking with me. So I really want to take a break. So yeah, what do you need? You want like another symbol lesson, or I got some new cool stuff I could show you, or yeah, what do you want? What do you need?
I'd love to have the opportunity to show you everything that I've been learning over the course of past however long.
Oh fuck, that
Just
sounds
draw up.
amazing. Jaw, get out here. Jaw, get out here. Jaw, get out here!
Oh fuck! No,
I don't
no,
care that it's
no,
explosive. Put it down. Show us.
no. Fish likes Jaw, but is more like intimidated by by the level of skill wherever it's like Garth, extremely skilled, but just way more accessible. So it's
Yes,
just
no,
like,
it's very true. Jaw is incredibly nice, but is a little bit more traditionally skilled, less chaotic, but also is kind of a specialist. Is not as much of a generalist as Gof is, and maybe not as much as you are at this point. Um,
mm,
so yeah, you show off your new uh, symbol magic that you've got. Some of it's you know, very like some of it's interesting to Jaw because he's like, "Oh, you learned this, and then you learned this, which are both, you know, incredible. But there is kind of like a middle step that you skipped over. That's it's interesting that you were able to accomplish that without going, you know, that direct path. While
yeah,
Goph
and
is
also
just
something was in the reverse order. It was fucked up.
yeah, and um, Goph is just unabashedly like proud of you, just like really excited for everything you showing him. You're like, look, I learned this new spell. And it's just like a little like simple cantrip that you learned that like a lot of people can do. It's as like basic simple magic, and Goph thinks it's so fucking impressive. And then you're like, and look, I can make it rain, and Goph thinks it's equally as impressive.
Yeah.
Just super thrilled to be hanging out with you and catching up and very very clearly kind of proud of how you've taken the lessons that he gave and kind of run with them a little bit.
Mhm. Kakano is not present to demonstrate, but Fish like draws out like all of the patterns that they've developed
Mhm.
for him to like be able to change his fur into, and it's like, yeah, and we've also done this camouflage one. It's just the standard like green, black, gray, and yeah, he does it. It doesn't work. It's it like it doesn't actually camouflage him, but like he can do the pattern.
um Goph is excited by that, but Jaw is actually really excited. You know, his kind of traditional training is in kind of like constructs and magical automata and things like that. So he actually has some like really good kind of advice in a way, and is really seemingly very impressed by what you were able to come up with yourself with Kekano, because he has a lot of interest in Kekano, not just as a being, but also as a magical construct, and he is able to help you.
Well, that's
Uh,
lovely.
is there anything support wise you ask from Jaw and Goph?
Um, kind of like Fish doesn't want to put them out because they're busy guys.
Hmm.
But it's very much like a hey, show me what crazy shit you've got, and I'll consider that helping like arm the cause.
Okay. Um, uh, The first thing shows you is a net gun. Um, Unfortunately, the way it is magically anchored is that it also ties you up. So when you fire it, you both have to make a saving throw or are restrained, both the person firing it and the person being targeted. So a few kinks with that one, but is willing to just give it to you as kind of like a failed experiment if you want. Um,
Yep, I'll take it.
um, there is a couple of essentially like modifier symbol packets, like what May develops, things where you kind of pre-make a symbol. You know, you like carve a bunch of symbols in a piece of metal, and then you like wrap it around a gun, say the incantation, and then the symbols like sink into the gun or something like that. They have a couple of these that they were developing with some kind of like new effects, but they didn't really work right. We will get you those afterwards. Offers you essentially some extra modifier symbols,
Nice.
and
And Fish specifically is like, yeah. And do you think these will impress May and make her like, perhaps forgive me for, you know, just for example, like running away in the middle of a conversation?
you know what? I got a lot of experience with that exact problem.
Mm,
If they worked totally properly, yes. As is, probably.
mm.
My secret to when somebody's mad at me because they were talking and then I just left, I like to either like get a nice dinner, maybe open a bottle of wine and just kind of like treat them and be like, hey, I'm sorry, it will happen again. Because it's just kind of the way we are.
Because it will. I
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not because we're rude or whatever. We just get distracted easily, that's kind of my go-to method. Uh, sometimes I like give them something, and uh, well, you know what? This didn't work out great last time. There was a friend of mine. I don't really like leave that much. I mostly live in the sanctuary. I don't get out that often. I always got to have security like following me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought like, oh well, this person.
Protecting yourself and others. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, but they were like, this friend of mine who was like having problems, or, like complaining about this lady at the shops who was like always mean to her and like wouldn't pronounce her name right and stuff like that when she was like getting coffee and things like that. So I was like, I'm gonna develop a thing to like help her because I can't like go out and be like, hey, be nice to my friend and then be like, hey, I'm sorry I ran away. It was because I was helping you with this thing. They're never gonna say your name wrong again. But I couldn't, it's hard to leave. So I like made a thing to like do that for me. And there was a little bit of a misunderstanding. It just kind of all snowballed from there. So what Goff is trying to say is that they made a bomb that when it explodes, it yells at you, and then packed it in a package to their friend, not to the barista, to their friend, with a note on the top that said, "Be careful, this is a bomb." So that was a bit of a problem. There was a lot of miscommunication there. So that friendship is honestly a little rocky still. Yeah, but you know what? Something like that. Defeat their enemies. That's a good apology.
Yeah, exactly. And there's it reminds me a whole lot of those sound stones, and I know May loves those. So I think that she'd totally get it.
Yeah. No, exactly. Uh, they just catch you up on things. You know the uh the work they're doing is interesting, but most of it is kind of like basic. You ask after the ampule, and it's basically like, well, May destroyed it, but the outside, the shell of it, is, as far as we can tell, indestructible. So May got rid of the device that was dangerous, but now there's just like pieces we can't get rid of. So we're trying to figure out like what to do with that. We think maybe we can turn it into like a little shielding device for things that have like kind of dangerous magical radiation. Just gonna like stick it in the middle, um, and uh, they just kind of like catch you up. It seems like no emergencies currently. that they're working on really hard, but a
Better get
number
on
of
that shit. You need to be having an emergency.
you need to be having an emergency at all times. But a lot of like problems they're trying to solve, some of which they were actually asked to solve versus go deciding something would be fun or interesting and going after it, which is how most progress is made from Ghost's perspective.
Why, yes.
Um, as you continue your tour of gaining associates, you check in with Sarah. The Tawisu clan has become a little bit of a nexus of local native mages. They are kind of a little bit more up and coming in the world in native spaces. Look to for a little bit of leadership as one of the few kind of groups in the area that stayed cohesive and kept their kind of unique magic strong over the years of colonization and stuff like that. And so the sanctuary has actually set up a essentially teleportation pad between the sanctuary and their town that allows you to travel. It's not the most convenient thing in the world. You got to wait until the teleporter's not being used, and it is like kind of calling in a favor with the sanctuary. But you get teleported up there to chat with Sarah, who happens to be in town. It seems like she's spending actually a lot of time going back and forth. She is studying uh, at a university down in Montreal, sort of every other semester, splitting that and kind of like working for her people, and is sort of an advocate for native mages in general with the sanctuary. And yeah, she catches up with you. You give her the warning about Jonas, and she is uh, she is uh, able to not really like promise support necessarily, but say like, hey, if you need anything, call me. It's not just that we know stuff; we know people who might know stuff. So if you need information, anything like that, especially if you're in kind of the wilder places um, of the country, let me know.
Yeah. And Fish really appreciates that. And it's just good to see her in general because they vibe super well.
Mhm.
Uh, and Fish goes, all right, I'm not going to explain what I need this for, but can you help me pick out a pine cone?
Do you have a specific like kind of pine cone? Like, what's it for? Are you throwing it in a campfire so it like explodes and the seeds go
It is
everywhere to
for
startle
throwing.
somebody? Okay. Well, then okay, so we want a cone that's closed and decently heavy, so pretty sapful. I gotcha. And you go and pick out a pine cone. Um that she gives to you. You actually get a couple of options. They're good like chucking cones. They're not too long. Uh, uh, kind of baseball size and weight, good for throwing. And
Perfect.
as you're done hanging out with her, she's like, "All right, yeah, you want to fuck or?"
Yeah, totally. Let's get it on.
Okay, bang it out. It's like the middle of the afternoon. And
Yeah.
then you head out. Yeah, she's really excited
And also,
to.
it's totally cool and casual. It's like, hey, you actually like seeing anyone? Oh yeah, you got this guy. Yeah, okay. I don't have anyone right now. No, don't ask about it.
Yeah, no,
Anyway,
it's absolutely like no questions asked. This is just kind of casual and physical. We are friends who sometimes sleep together.
we're
Um,
friends.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah's also really excited to see Kekano. It's been a long time, And yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the time skip, with Fish now completed their tour in uh, Cal's town, back in their place, their little rental property, with all of their stuff. Um, in addition to potential support for uh, Cal and May with hunting down Elyse, you get one tier 1 modifier symbol that you can roll randomly, a net gun that I will give you the stats for. It's bad, but I will give you the stats for. And
Thank you.
Kekino gets a +1 to stealth as his camouflage gets a little bit better.
Fantastic. That was a joke that I've been working on in my head. Like, you know those Tumblr posts where it's like someone's laptop case is the camouflage, and so the joke is to be like, "Oh shit, where'd it come from?"
Yeah, where'd it go? Where'd it
Uh,
come from? It's those ones that's like, oh my god, he just appeared out of nowhere, and it's a guy in camouflage, like in a coffee shop.
yes. Where's his torso?
Okay. Then I think we will move over to what May has been up to. Um, May retreated back to Sudan, the little workshop room, the spare bedroom that May has taken for her workshop for making things, has kind of been entirely taken over. It's now the staff room, as in the room of the staff. Um, Number of locks and extra security measures on the door as May buries herself in trying to figure this thing out. And yeah, if you want to give me a roll for the staff knowledge, I would say that would be a tool check. So give me a yeah, Tinker's tool check, D20 plus double your proficiency.
Can I also argue for it being related to past adventures?
Because you have already done identify on it and like fully examined it, I will say yes.
Okay. Give me a second. It would be great if I could find out where I put that, because it's been a very long time since I used it. Yes, there we go. Advantage. Thank you. So that's a pretty good write off for that. Even better. Okay. So that is 25.
Okay. With a 25, you reveal the first 2 levels of this device. I will get you the stats later, but in addition to what I gave you before, being able to, as an action, transfer between people, health and AC and temporary hit points and spell points and things like that. You get you figure out how it works a little bit better, so that effect is a little bit better, a little bit more effective. You also get the second tier talents, which allows you to transfer ability score points. You could, for example,
Jesus.
reduce your dexterity by 1 to increase somebody else's dexterity by 1 temporarily. Um, and this, of course, all has limits. That'll be part of the write up, but you study how this thing works. And as you are studying it, you are getting the sense of, like, this is a very powerful object. This is still an experiment. As you're really looking into it and you're seeing kind of the development of it, you think about what it could be used for, because the ampule was a thing in and of itself, but it was also part of a larger device. And as you examine the rod, you can see two very small little nubs on each end, almost like it would click into something larger. And you realize this may be part of a larger device or an experimental setup or something like that. And with the 25, as you're thinking about it, may not be the only thing it was used for, but the most obvious thing an experiment like this could be used for is essentially experiments into how magic functions. The fundamental laws of magic. Mace never heard of, being able to transfer things between each other. There's certain theoretical literature about very powerful objects that can transfer magical energy between people. There was a researcher a while ago who was planning on um, using this kind of theoretical power transfer to create like an amplifier type device, and there was never any follow up on that. Um, but uh, all of these other effects, it's just May didn't know that these were possible, and you've got not as deep theoretical knowledge as others, but still pretty good, a pretty broad skill set. You've never seen anybody else talk about it being possible either. So this is probably not a tool used to, as the abomination used it, create experiments. This is an experiment in and of itself. The ancients probably trying to figure out the fundamental laws of magic, how magic works. And in this one device, you of course see something that is more advanced than current magical understanding. So, what additional layers did they discover? What additional powers did they discover? What did they know that May doesn't? You also, with the 25, look into the background of this object. It's still been bothering you that there was not a source that you know of. You know that the revolution made things complicated, but you were keeping an eye out. You should know if there was an ancient ruin to open up. That must have not, kind of made it anywhere for you to not know. But through your research with a 25, you do find a white paper in Chinese by a Chinese mage, essentially about a discovery of some potential ancient signs, a potential ancient settlement that was never followed up on. Essentially, he said, "Hey, there was a partial collapse of this street as the government was doing construction, and I found objects that are probably ancient in origin. This is not my specialty, but I think this could be a dig site, yada, yada, yada." And there was just no follow up. And as you're looking into it, the consensus seems to be that, he disappeared during the revolution. Maybe he's still working and alive. Maybe he's not. And uh, that seems like a reasonable assumption if you didn't know that Jonas and the abomination were involved. And as you look to it, the uh, white paper and the discovery were about a year and a half ago. And if Jonas was involved, well, you don't know who kind of hid it, who covered it up. Maybe it was originally Jonas, maybe it was originally the Abomination, maybe even it was one of the houses, and Jonas or the Abomination just kind of took over. But yes, that was seemingly hushed, and that is where it came from. Without returning to the area, you have no way of following up. You don't know how much was dug out. You don't know if there were other objects. You don't know whether it was a full lab like you discovered in Canada, or whether it was something much smaller, some sort of outpost. You don't know what condition it was in, whether it was very full and had a lot of valuable things in there, or whether it was pretty much just this. And unfortunately, with a 25, you essentially find that if there is information on this, it has not left the country. You're going to have to go back to China to try to find out more about this specifically, if you need to. As you are working on this project, there are some things in your day-to-day life that are not perhaps optimal. Being a little obsessive, understandably, after your run-in with Jonas and the Abomination. Um, Sinner is being a little bit of a mother hen. Didn't take the news that you said, I'm going to be safe, I'm going to be so safe, and then immediately got kidnapped very well, although he knows that it's not your fault. He's taken the news of Jonas being involved hard, but with a resignation of, like, there's very little I can do about it. This isn't a problem I can punch. So he's just anxious without an outlet. Um, Now in the slow season of archaeology, most of your dig team has gone home for the winter. Hopefully most of them, but probably not all of them, will come back when the dig season starts up again. And some of your more senior staff are still working under you in the cultural ministry, cataloging the things that you found. And you put in the work too. But you find yourself, as you work in the lab, uh, cleaning pottery shards, you find your mind keep drifting back to this thing and this rod of transference, Jonas, its ancient artifacts. And while your work is fine, it's not exemplary. You and the others are just kind of in a holding pattern until you can dig again. You know that one of the things that happened while you were gone is a trip the Prime Minister took to southern Sudan, part of his goodwill tour that Sinner has been stressed about, that did not go as well, seemingly, as anyone hoped. Not badly, but not great. And I think you've noticed an increasing kind of stress and anxiety in Sinner, maybe having to do with his job, maybe having to do with you, that seems unspoken, untalked about. But there are a lot of little things. Him helping you take apart some surplus armor he was able to acquire from you to reinforce your jacket, both physically and magically. The things to try and keep you a little safer. That, once again, don't tell you if he's generally a little anxious or anxious about you specifically. And these things continue to be unspoken. Your reputation, your relationship's not bad. It's just strained a little bit. And as Sinner makes sure there's more locks on the door, and you establish magical traps so that this rod is safe in your home, you don't know if Sinner is doing this to protect this object, or far more likely, protect you. There was also a call you made when you first left, when Fish stormed out, you came back home. Some initial calls, of course, with Cal to figure out what happened with Elyse, but finally a reminder of something at your job. Oh, right. I was going to call Kalor and figure out what her news was. And she shares it with you. And it's incredible. And you feel perhaps a lot more jealousy than you were expecting. as but I think it's hard to stay mad at her. She wants to please you so badly. She's so desperate to be your friend, and she thinks that she owes you. So when Kalor ends up with a membership and access to China Sorrow's personal library, she offers to look some things up for you. And if you'll once again tell us and everybody what you ask her to look into for you.
So May asks Laura to look into the abomination and the regent, and also more generally the symbol that she found that Howard years ago told her to disregard.
Mm-hmm. The way this is going to work is you give an amount of information that you want Kalor to know, and then she rolls her investigation or history. Kalor is not perhaps the brightest, but she's very curious and is exposed to a lot through her work, so she knows how to research. Her rolls are not bad. But essentially, how much you share with her is how much you're handicapping her to a certain extent. So, if I remember our conversation correctly, you do want to, ask her to look for these things, look for these names, and you perhaps give her the context that they are like potential like nicknames of people or things, but you're not necessarily saying like, I know this and this and this, the regent is associated with this and this. You're not laying it out for her, right?
Yeah, May is giving her just enough, like in the terms like, hey, I've been doing some like research and these names keep popping up. Like I know these things, but only gives like enough detail that it isn't urgent. There's no sense of this is a problem.
Hmm.
Mooney, that's why May hasn't told Cal.
Yeah, that's why May received this information and chose not to share it with anyone.
Yeah.
All right. That is a pretty good roll. So that is going to get you the full amount with the information that you gave. Um, you end up chatting with Kalor on the phone a couple of times, but this latest one is about 2 weeks in. You've been in more constant contact with Cal about Elyse and figuring things out, and you are starting to kind of put things on hold so you can go and help Cal, whether that's going to her temple or wherever she needs to go. You're kind of preparing for it. When Elise, or rather, Kalor, sorry, gives you a call with what she's found. Um, she's uh, uh, just like, May, it is so wonderful to hear from you. Oh, I just I took a little personal vacation from work so I could spend some time in the library. It is so very exciting. There is a lot of stuff that I've learned so far. I found something that I think will help me develop a new symbol that will sort of like it give me the illusion of like a little bit taller, a little bit smaller, and kind of like change like my bodily proportion a little bit because I feel like I have kind of a long torso for my size. And I mean sometimes dresses don't sit right. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted.
Darling, I think you're
I
perfectly fine the way you are.
Thank you. It's just it's just sometimes they don't sit quite right, and like you got to get tailoring, and that gets a little bit expensive. And it's not like I think anything's wrong. It's just like subtle things. Just but thank you. I really appreciate that. Yes, and Miss Sorrows is amazing. I mean, I've only been able to talk to her the once when I sold her the book, and I told you I said, well, she offered me she offered me access, and I said, "Well, I'll take access and a payment." And we met, and she was just so nice and so charming, and she's just so impressive that I don't know how, but I just ended up with the access, and I just kind of gave her the book, and she's got such nice tattoos, and I really want to talk to her about that about symbol magic tattoos. I just think that'd be so interesting. But she's busy. She's got a lot of really important things for her to do. So, anyway, sorry, I'm just getting distracted. Yes, you asked me to look into some stuff. Mostly the two people you think with the titles, the librarian and the regent. Um, well, I mean, like the librarian, obviously China Sorrows. That's it. Yeah, it could be a librarian. Maybe she's referred to that way in certain circles. Very impressive woman, as I said. So the research I was doing, essentially. Essentially, in my work, there is a little bit of translation issues, with titles or with dynasties or names or things like that. There's a lot of direct versus indirect translation, a lot of things like that. So first of all, I had some contacts, and we sort of translated the librarian into a bunch of different languages and did research that way. There was there's a couple of things we found. I don't know how relevant it is to you, but I'll just give them all of them. Um, the first one is that in sort of ancient Roman times, about 700 BC, there was this sorcerer king, kind of in Gaulish Rome, who took the title Collector of Words because he learned how to read, which was uncommon, and had a bunch of records of that. He was kind of seeking like immortality for himself, to like finally defeat Rome. Like I will not rest until Rome is cast asunder, something like that. That seems to be kind of a loose translation of the librarian, but that's something I came across. There is this. Apparently, there's also a really nice library that the necromancers have. It is in the Gorgon Temple, which is in the Middle East somewhere. I'm not entirely sure, but apparently it's a big necromancer library, and the high clerics that run that temple are often. It seems like more of a nickname than anything else, but called like the librarians of the dead. So it's possible that maybe that has. Something to do with it. There's also in the there was this. It's not really librarian, but it's kind of translated like that sometimes. I would say the more accurate translation is keeper of records. Um, that was sort of a title in the Indonesian Mataram Kingdom of kind of like a head mage or something like that. It's actually still kind of exists. It sort of transitioned into you know a position of power, sort of like a grand mage thing in Indonesia. Apparently, she's very influential right now. Still, I have not personally had any dealing with her, but some people in my department have. And those are all the things I could find about like specific people with that title. There are a number of organizations that have important librarians. Nothing that really seems tied into magic necessarily, but I don't know. Um, so. Uh, Oh, and that reminds me, you also told me to look at this symbol that you sent me. It's kind of sort of the triangle with an eye in it. Um, I was actually not looking for it. I was looking for some of my own stuff, but I was of course keeping an eye out for you, and I actually found it in a book in Miss Hara's library, about a book about magical history. I was looking for some stuff about magical tattoos, but it was sort of this magical history book, and it talked about some of the very early mage associations, sorceress groups in history. Some are kind of theoretical, some not. This symbol was in the book, describing the followers of the Ashvinas. Which is sort of a fragment of the Rig Veda in Sanskrit, sort of this ancient writing. Um, you know, it's just a fragment, but the author was saying, you know, modern researchers think this may have been an early society of mages in the region, because they were associated with divine-like powers and things like that. And it has the triangle similar, the triangle with the eye, just like you sent me. So that's interesting. Um, there was also a book about potential like new sources of symbol magic, because you know symbol magic is always developing, and every kind of culture has their own symbol magic that they develop, and sometimes you can kind of combine them to create new spells. So there was this book that was about theoretically where you could find new sources of symbol magic, and this was just kind of like a small note, but it was talking about Egyptian sources, and it said a potential excavation that requires more research is it looks like there's a temple somewhere in Egypt that has like a symbol of a triangle with the eye in it somewhere, that was described. It looks like Dr. Howard Carter, the Egyptologist, he gave a talk about potential future excavations. This was apparently after like the King Tut stuff, and sort of the Valley of the Kings was drying up. So he was addressing the Royal Archaeological Society to have some other places to go, and he mentioned that there was a temple with this strange symbol that he wanted to explore, because it may mean there was sort of like pre-Egyptian influences on the symbol. But yes, it describes it as in the talk as being a triangle with an eye. Not, you know, not really sure if that's kind of the same or similar or anything like that.
I'm so sorry to butt in. Do you know if he ever went ahead with that?
I don't, but I can look into it. I I cross-referenced it with just sort of like the talk itself, and it seemed like it was sort of like end of career. He passed away, I think, like 7 months afterwards, something like that. I think there was technically a digging season that had started between when he gave the talk and when he passed away, but I don't know if he was, you know, you're the archaeologist, not me, so I don't know if it's like he was, you know, you got to be there right when the season starts, or if it was, you know, he was kind of in England or something. But yes, I you know, he unfortunately passed away, which is a shame, because you know, I've heard is very influential in the field. You know, I've been reading a lot more ancient Egypt stuff. Since you were talking to me about the Maharu, it just seems really interesting, and you know that's really exciting. It seemed to be just a little bit before he passed away, unfortunately. So I don't know if he actually started, but I can try and look into it for you if you want. I think Ellie is frozen. I think Ellie was giving a very
Yeah,
rueful thinking face, and then I realized she was not moving.
I've simply lost video. So
I am going to uh mm, I'm like trying to kick her out without making it like I'd then have to like send her a new invite or whatever. Oh, there we go. Yeah. May heard Howard's name and immediately hung up.
I was
Go
gonna
like find where
make the
he's
joke.
buried and dig him up and shoot him.
Yes, yeah. She just
What
like
appalling timing.
this was an actual like wait, so I don't recall if this was an in-person conversation or over the telephone, but either way, May simply disappeared.
Yeah. No, it was a phone call, so it's just like Kalora's talking about this, and they're like, "Hello, May? Hello?" And May's like, "Gonna get a shovel, gonna shoot this guy's corpse in the fucking face."
When did I cut out?
I don't know because you froze rather than disappearing immediately. I was describing how the talk he gave was only a couple months before he passed away.
Okay, yeah.
And Kalora has
So
been
I was like,
going
when you
through
were
a
like,
deep
it's very
apology.
unfortunate, and I was like,
Yeah.
yes, extremely unfortunate. um, she wants Kalor to look into it, and then she was like, "Oh, I remind me to recommend you some literature that isn't written by Mr. Carter because his focus was very narrow and left out a significant breadth of the field."
That's great. No, please give me those recommendations. You know, this is why you talk to experts. That's great. Next time I go to a Maharu meeting, they're going to be so impressed that I did all this reading. Um, and oh, we were talking about the symbol. I don't know if this is actually about this or if it's something else, but it seems like one of the people who in Rome was kind of the founder of like the Mithraic mysteries. You know, like the cult of Mithras. It says that he got a lot of his rituals and stuff from a organization of the Watchful Eye that they describe as like having a triangle theme. This was in a book about how kind of sorceress history has influenced mortal history. You know, the cult of Mithras being very important to kind of the function of Rome in that time period. But this guy was apparently a mage, and that's why there's some like magic influences in some of the cult's ceremonies that we see in ruins. Apparently, so that's really interesting. Yeah, it just seems like you know, it's weird. It seems like the triangle and the eye thing. It kind of shows up in secret societies and groups and stuff all the time. Oh, there's like my uncle is he used to be in the Freemasons, and they have like a triangle too, and
Hmm.
that's really interesting. They have like a triangle and an eye. Yeah, it just seems to like show up everywhere. I don't know if you have anything more specific, but that's about all I found with that. You know, the one symbol that is identical to what you send me, and then a couple of just like references to like triangle eyes, which is interesting.
Hmm. Sorry, Kalor, just thinking of that. Phenomenal information. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And just the regent was the last one, right?
Hmm. Yes.
So when I was looking this up, there were a lot of historical figures that had the title of regent because they were regent of a country or something
Hmm.
like that. Not a lot of uh, uh, like definite people who like went by that title other than their name. You know, my first thought was like, oh, like our, King George III. You know, the Regency. He had that alchemist that was trying to like extend his life and things like that. And that was, that's what I thought. And then there was this mage in Persia who like called himself the regent because he was a sorcerer that kind of took over like the capital when the emperor left or something. I don't really have a name for that guy. It's sort of referenced. I couldn't find any primary sources, but apparently he went by the regent. And then you know what? Because we were talking, because I was doing this research on the symbol, and I was thinking about triangle eyes and the Freemasons and like my uncle, and he was telling me that one of the things that's really silly about the Freemasons and other secret societies is they have all of these like titles and names and stuff. So like I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's a title like in something else, like in the Freemasons. There's like a guy whose title is like the Regent of the Western Door, and then in the Maharu they have like the Voice of the Regent and stuff like that. It's silly, but something like that, and yeah, that's what I've been able to find.
I'm still largely unfamiliar with the Maharu and their goings on. I'm curious. What does the Voice of the Regent do?
Oh well, I've never met him, but he's apparently a higher up. It's second in command of the organization or something. I don't know. His like identity is secret, and he's got like a funerary mask that he wears to ceremonies. I've heard people who have talked to him, but apparently he's like a leader. I don't entirely understand how like the leadership structure of the Maharu works. I'm a little too junior. I mostly deal with kind of my local chapter. Our kind of like chapter head, the Harasaset, the keeper of secrets. He's kind of in charge of our each little lodge house, or what do they call it? They call it
I don't suppose
temple
anyone
house.
else has a title relating to the region. Like to me, I would assume that the leader of the
Well,
whole organization might be the regent. Is that the case?
I mean, well, not as far as I know. The well, the head guy in charge. I don't know if this is like, because I don't know if people have like one title or like a bunch of titles. I'm still pretty new at this. So, but I heard the leader of the Maharu. I don't know if it's like, leader, or if it's like spiritual leader, or just like most senior or something like that. Anyway, I've heard him called the Young Horus or something like that. It's some kind of Egyptian thing. But yeah, I don't know, and I don't know any other like society stuff. I don't know any like Rotarians, or like the Order of the Maltese Knights. I don't know if they have like regent titles or something like that. That'd be funny though if they did.
It would be, Flo, you've really sold me on the Maharu as an organization. I didn't really know too much about them, and it's very easy to dismiss, groups and so on and so forth. Do you think you would?
No, 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 Ellie, no. No.
Jonas says, "Stop snitching, motherfucker."
Yeah. Jonah says, "That's enough of that." Okay, you're back.
Oh, am I back? Did you
Yeah,
hear what
we
I
can see
said?
and hear you. No. You said that the organization is so interesting, and then you cut out because Jonas interfered.
Okay, I thought you would. So I said, you want to know why I find this funny? I said, "Cool, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you sold me on the organization. Would you introduce me? Perhaps I'll join a local chapter." And then you were like, "No, no, no, no!" And I was like, "Oh, Patrick, that's a lot of work for Patrick. Clearly, I'm going to double down."
Oh no, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Oh yes, no, that would be That'd be so exciting. Oh, I mean, they talk about you a lot. There's I've definitely seen your work in some of the meetings. So
I had
that's
no idea. What about?
oh, just there was like uh we were talking about we were doing this ritual that's supposed to like bring fortune into our personal lives. And I've told you of being like, I don't think there's any kind of magic necessarily, but the social connections are really nice, and it's kind of fun. We dance in a circle a little bit. And it was talking about like a statue in the Valley of Kings that is like the arbiter of the western wind or something like that. And then I asked the Horace set. I asked our kind of like chapter head. I was like, oh, where did that come from? That's really interesting. I want to read more about it. And he said, "Oh, this was a statue that was dug up by this archaeologist, Miss Gladly, and you can kind of read about it here." And I got the sense that like he didn't really like want to get into kind of the archaeological context, like I feel like I feel like when you get too much into like, well, this was here during this dynasty, maybe it like interferes with the mysticism or something like that. I feel like he was kind of just like go read this and kind of like sending me away. But it was still interesting. And yeah, it had your name on it.
Well, if when you introduce me, let's perhaps not use that name. I don't want to frighten anybody.
Oh, I understand. You don't want to be you want the experience, you don't want to be too big of a celebrity. I get it.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you understand, Kalua.
There is obviously, especially with her very good role and the information you gave her, Kalora is a good researcher. But just because she's a good researcher doesn't mean she's making all the connections necessarily. With this information, I think there's two very minor things you can get that it seems like Kalora missed, especially because these things relate together and she doesn't necessarily. So I would say give me a history roll. No advantage from cat or anything like that. Just a flat history roll, and then give me a religion check.
Oh, okay. It's not bad. First is a dirty 20 for history. My religion will not be as good. And an 11 for religion.
Okay. For the dirty 20, you don't know that much about secret societies because why bother?
Why the fuck would I?
Yeah, that's not May's thing at all. But you do know at least in concept some of them, and in your studies, you mostly focused on Egyptology, but secret societies have a lot of influence in world history. You had to learn about the Templars and the Hospitallars in the Crusades because they were in Egypt. They pushed Saladin into Egypt, and that was important for your field and stuff like that. You think about the triangle and the eye, and it's like, well, that's the all-seeing eye. And now that Kalur has brought it up, yeah, it is. It is like the Masons use it and other secret societies use it, and it's on like the American dollar bill. You carried some American cash on a trip before. Yeah, the kind of like triangle or pyramid with an eye is very common. And with a dirty 20, this is kind of like just like pure um this is just pure inference. You don't have anything to like back this up. You haven't researched this in any depth, but just kind of like this could be true. You think back about how the triangle with the eye exists in these ancient sources, the Rig Veda, this ancient temple from Old Kingdom Egypt, and these other secret societies that have eye in a triangle. And this guy who was apparently part of whatever group this was, an eye with a triangle group, and then left to form another group, it crosses your mind that it may be possible that whatever this symbol represents, whatever group currently claims it or whatever, may be not just a secret society, but the secret society. Maybe the first one, the oldest one whose symbology influenced all secret societies to come, the source of the all-seeing eye. You have no idea if that's true, but it seems to hang together with the information that Kalor gave you. And then with the 11 in religion, you would have to look up what the Ashvinas are about. And Mithras, I don't think your religious knowledge goes deep enough. I think it's very Egypt focused. With an 11, Seshat, the Egyptian goddess, that when you originally found the symbol, you found the temple, it said followers of Seshat, is a very minor goddess in the Egyptian pantheon, and not one that is consistently there. But her domain is supposed to be um, knowledge and learning in the same way that Thoth's is, but also writing specifically and record keeping. And while you don't know much about Mithras or the Ashvinas, you do know that they are, divinities of some sense. They are worshipped. It's possible that although the name may change, the function may not. As you think about how you found all of these strange documents, guidelines, secret information with this symbol, this may be a secret society devoted to knowledge or writing in some way. And I think that connects you with perhaps the librarian. Maybe that's related, maybe it's not, and maybe in the same way that she was kind of joking about, the regent being a secret society title, maybe the librarian is a title within a group you don't know. Maybe the librarian is a title within this group.
Okay. Can May ask Kalua to do a little bit more research?
Yeah, it's you. Depending on what it is and how much it is, you may not get it until like the next downtime. She doesn't live in Ireland, but
Yeah.
it's close, and she travels all the time for work and stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So May wants her, like she already said, to look into whether Howard got very far with the dig that apparently never happened. And then also wants her to look into, I'm going to say the other secret societies, the Cult of Mithras and the, is it Ashiva?
The other groups, you have like at least the broad context of it. She is able to tell you as part of like her whole spiel that the followers of Ashvinas is just like a reference on like a scrap of legend that has this symbol drawn on it that is from a legend that like was oral history for a long time and then got written down in Sanskrit and is like part of this larger kind of cultural heritage of like really old stories, and that the writer of the book she was reading theorized that this was some kind of magical group based on the translation, and therefore was like, we can't guarantee it, but in my history of magical groups and organizations, in the same way that you're like, well, in the history of writing, we need to talk about cuneiform and things like that, as being like, in the history of magical societies, here's a possible ancient reference to a magical society. That's all we know.
Okay, maybe she won't ask that then. Maybe
And the I think just general history knowledge, the Mithraean Mysteries was a cult in ancient Rome that male soldiers belonged to,
Mhm.
um, and they were kind of like a competitor for Christianity, for kind of like the heart and soul of ancient Rome in the modern age. Um, uh, I think if you wanted to know more about the Ashvinas or Mithras as like religious figures and like what they stood for, you can ask her to do research, or you can do research on your own. And
Mhm.
I think for the Howard stuff, you've got friends who are archaeologists. You've got friends who are in the know. Just
Yeah,
because
true,
just
true.
because you were like Howard's a piece of shit, and I don't want to follow his career that closely. You could just be like, hey, friend at the British Museum, I have a question about Howard Carter. I heard he was planning a last dig. What happened with that? And they may have
Yeah.
an answer for you. Maybe that, which may be a little easier and more direct than Kalor getting it for you. Because
Okay.
does seem very much mortal knowledge rather than magical knowledge.
Okay. All right. Instead, knowing that Sorrow's library is, what is world renowned, May is going to ask
Um,
Kalor to.
Kalor has one complaint about it, which
Oh
is
yeah.
that um, it is very cool and exciting, but it is not complete. She says that it seems to have an eye towards like the rarer, more valuable books and secrets, and there's some stuff that's like Elementalism 101 that you can buy like fucking anywhere that's like not in the library. Of just being like, there are some magical books that are so normy they're not in China's library.
Yeah. Um, May is going to ask Kalor to look into ancient theories of magic. And maybe specify, I don't know, describe it in a way that's kind of about like maybe lesser known theories that just because May doesn't have, a magical library that specifically collects rare books,
Yeah.
she just might not have heard of.
And her training and experience is very practical.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I don't need to know how magic works, theoretically. I know how to
Mm,
make it work in an object I'm making. It's
yeah.
very much like, May is an engineer who is developing lasers or whatever. She doesn't need to know like the every possibility of like how quarks split or something like that. She doesn't need to be a theoretical physicist.
Yeah. I think also she would like with a mind for anything that's like related to immortality or like, renewal, like things that could be feasibly
Mhm.
used. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um yeah. And then she's gonna eagerly await getting introduced to the local Maharaj chapter when Kalora's next around or whatever.
Yeah. Kalor says she has an exciting trip coming up for work now that her vacation is over. She's gonna go back to Egypt for a little bit. And it's like, okay, cool. Have fun.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, the other
I
thing I
agree.
do want
I agree with Mooney because I remember that happening. That
yeah.
Valkyrie learned out of a basic bitch primer. I think CC is like China. In order to get on your good side, I brought you a book for your collection. She's like, fine.
The other thing that May does over the time skip, because Cal said you need to fucking make up with fish so you can help me with my family issues. May does attempt to call fish. I don't know, let's say like once a week until they pick up.
Well, it is up to Ink whether fish picks up or not. Me personally, I think
Hey,
fish.
bitch. Sorry.
Yeah, I think fish maybe doesn't at least the first like period of time they're with the reflections, but maybe end of reflections time, starting to travel, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes. In fact,
Hmm.
they would ring her and be like, "Oh yeah, sorry I missed you the first couple times. Yeah, I don't know, my voice answering machine is wrong. It's a fucking singing stone." And Like, yeah, no, I'm coming back and I'm helping out. Don't worry about it.
My voicemail is full. What's a voicemail?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to like roleplay a full scene about it. May would basically
Yep.
yell at them a
Don't
bit,
have to.
and be like, "Dude, what the fuck is your fucking problem? Why did you run out on this?" And then I'm imagining we should be like doing the, "Hey, actually, I just help." So,
Yeah, no, I'm not going to answer any of your questions to explain why I did anything ever. I'm just going to try and reassure you that I'm doing helpful things now.
okay, I think May's still very cranky with him, but not on the fuck you potion of fuck you. The friendship is over. Like it's cool. Really love that you're not communicating with me. As long as you're safe and trying to help Cal, fine. Goodbye. That'd be like the
Yeah,
gist of
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And Fish thinks
Um,
that that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas May is like, and then May would probably call Cal and be like, well, they're alive and apparently helping you. And that's about as much as I'm gonna fucking do about it.
In the realm of the thing we discussed about how how Fish is communicating with May, I think now that you've kind of like torn out a lot of Jonas, you were like, maybe Jonas is paying a little less attention to May. Maybe if I'm subtle enough, I can get her information about why stuff happened, but that's up to you. You know, maybe put it in a letter, because May looks at papers all the time, right? Jonas isn't going to look at that. It's not interesting.
Yeah, once like they're back in Canada, like they'd make up a list of like bullet points of like, hey, I'm doing a psyop actually. um the reason why we're not talking is because it's like the separation of information keeps it from being a huge point of attack. So don't tell me anything. I won't tell you anything, and that's how it ought to be.
Yeah. Which May is like, oh, that's actually extraordinarily sensible. Do wish they had been less of a dickhead about it. But yeah. I guess still like less cranky, but still cranky.
Does May feel any
Mhm.
sort of way about I didn't think of that and Fish did or something?
No, because May did think of that. That's why she left them in the house. And went off and talked with Cal. She would have just rather like Fish had not just literally left without even a word, more than anything else.
Yeah.
She can't be too angry at them for doing what she was doing. She's more angry that they weren't like, let's not get into details. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
the
go
way it
and
was
like do
done.
my own stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that catches us up to May, which I think means it is time for Colliginous Denier.
Who dat?
Who is that? That is the question. It's a question only Cal can answer.
She did. She's not good at it. Kel
Mhm.
is truly, in many ways, three women wearing a trench coat.
Yes. As Cal rushes home, rushes back to the temple. I think based on the mood she was in before, she is just straight, all business. We're gonna find Elyse, make sure she's okay. No time for anyone else. Think that's about right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, for
In the
story,
beginning. I think
Yeah.
she'll. Yeah.
for story-related reasons, I had you roll your investigation check before session. I believe you got like a 14.
That sounds much higher than what I got, but sure, I'll take
Okay,
it.
we'll say a 12 then.
Wait. You said 14.
You said much higher than it took it. With a 12 investigation, you are instantly out there looking for Elyse. You are keeping in constant contact with her church to see if she shows up anywhere. You're making calls to other people she may meet with. You know, she has a history of like wanting to give speeches to the Society of Better Governance. So you probably call Metal and say like, "Hey, what's the society up to?" You know, put the word out so people can try and find Elyse. As you do, you also search for her physically. I think you probably send people out, and then, uncomfortable with not doing it yourself, you also go and try to see what happened with Elise. As part of this process, Isle and Wolma show up at the temple and offer to help you look. They can get in a lot more of the wild places, and Elise was visiting three little chapels that she had set up that were sort of her first foothold in Canada for her church. Um, they're not they're not in wild places, but they are sort of at the edge of major cities where land is cheaper, and Isle is able to travel quickly between them to speak to people if need be. Um, what you discover is that essentially she arrived safely at the first one. She left a little before noon. She was expected at the next one a little bit after noon, and she never arrived. And as you explore that area, you find a place that doesn't quite feel right, and you can't really explain how. Something having to do with death energy, but not quite as you expect, and something having to do with life energy, but not exactly as you think about it. And you think this is about where Elise disappeared, where whatever happened to her happened, and doesn't seem to be any witnesses, doesn't seem to be anyone around who can say what happened. So you go back to the drawing board. You you know that this has something to do with this being that has been harassing necromancers, attacking them, killing them. A being that you saw briefly and understood to be something undead or associated with death or necromancy. And the stories you collected in Korea, as well as putting together your little library, um, talks about two creatures: a hooded, kind of humped bipedal creature with a staff, and then a large black dog. And it's unclear whether they are one and the same or what have you. You go back to your charting and wrong character. You oh well no for the staff. Um, you you go back to your charting and you find, first of all, the only time in all the records you collected where the dog was solely seen or the figure was solely seen and not like both at the same time were situations in which it's like, you know, I have a neighboring temple went to visit and somebody saw something and then they came back later and all those people were dead. Like it's only in situations where there is very few witnesses or the witnesses are otherwise unreliable. The preponderance of evidence tells you if these are not the same creature, they are kind of always together. This is a phenomenon. This is two parts of one phenomenon rather than something separate. Um, and uh and as you kind of like chart this out, you also realize there is both ideological and geographic limitations. You know that this whatever this is has been attacking or bothering. I thought you were just gonna pick up a cat with one hand. I thought you were scooping up a cat. It has been people on the fringes, death cultists and heretic necromancers, people who are far away from the kind of mainstream necromancy, and it seems to be slowly moving inward. People are getting the attacks are happening to organizations that are a little closer to mainstream or have close contacts with a traditional temple or things like that. It's sort of been spiraling inwards, going for more and more mainstream necromancers. And as you chart it, you think at first it's because there is a little bit of uh, geographic relationship with where certain types of necromancers live. Um, but then you get some counter evidence to that, and as you're charting this out, you see that there seems to be certain places that whatever this is avoiding, maybe. And when you map it out, there are the triumvirate, the philosophical structure of necromancy is very important. Necromancy is done in threes. The three component parts of the person, the three parts of necromantic magic, and the threes of important locations. There are three grand temples, one specializing in body, otherwise known as the Paris Temple, or the Grand Temple of the Beautiful Dead, one specializing in anima, shadow magic, attacks, and defense, the Dublin Temple, aka the Grand Monastery of the Shadowed Ways, and the third Grand Temple, which you've never been to. There was always talks of Elyse going there, after she was confirmed as the Deathbringer to continue her education, but then she wasn't, and that all sort of fell by the wayside. Probably a place Cal has always wanted to go, but never really had a reason to. Um, the third Grand Temple that the creature seems to be avoiding, the Gorgon Temple, also known as the Grand Archive of the Wandering Soul. This is, as I've told you before, soul magic. That's what they specialize in. Not bad, not heretical, but maybe weird, maybe not super kosher with mainstream necromancy. It's a thing of, like, with Christians, going to like an Assyrian church or a Coptic church or something like that, where it's like, oh, their beliefs are incredibly weird, but it's not because they, like, split off from us at some point. They're just a very ancient form of our religion and didn't change when we did. So you can't, like, disrespect them in any way. You can't call them heretics. They are the weirdos that you don't really associate with. But they are famous for a grand library, a library of all necromantic writings, both heretical and not. The original copies of Notes of Many of the Saints, necromantic spells that can't be found elsewhere. They're a bastion of the knowledge of death. And as you chart it out, there are also three other places that it is avoiding. And those are the three necropolises. You search and search and search. You call your contacts, and people come back with you with some information, mostly denials, but things seem stuck. You don't know what happened to Elyse. She's not dead. You'd feel like you would know if she was dead, but she's not here. Maybe she's hidden from you in some way. You don't know. And as your kind of threads of investigation start to peter out, I think you look more and more at the Grand Archive. This temple, it's always outside the politics of the other temple. Maybe a place where you wouldn't be looked down upon, but more importantly, maybe a place with more information. Maybe there's some sort of tracking spell or something. It's a hope. I think sort of been considering that in the back of your mind as the trails have gone cold. And you eventually get a call from Metal. Hi, Colliginous. Just getting back to you about the society stuff, and wondering how you've been. Your last message said that your nieces and nephews are headed up to your temple to stay with you for a little while. That's great. Yeah, I just wanted to call and check on with you.
Cal gets this call, and it's like, hasn't slept in 3 days, and it's so, like, bubbly, because, like, it's probably, like, between 7 and 8 in the morning. Metal's been up for, like, 4 hours, and
Yeah,
just, like...
and it's also a thing of like, my friends are really sad, so when I call, I'm gonna be like hyper happy to cheer them up, and then it's like that requires a certain personality type that is not Cal.
Yeah, it does. So she gets this, and she's just like, hello, Metal. Thank you for calling. I am doing extremely poorly due to the obvious circumstances. I appreciate your call. Yes, I can confirm my nephews and niece will be arriving soon. Are you gonna be trying to visit? I'm so sorry.
Yes, I think I have a place. I think I have a time to get away, so I thought I would come for a visit. Maybe sort of early next week. Maybe about 5 days from now. And I looked into I looked into the society, like you said. Unfortunately, it seems like none of them have heard from Elysium recently, but. I've put the word out, and people are still looking. My fiance has offered to um, hire some investigators to search for her, which is nice, I suppose.
Cal goes, fiance singular? Her? You picked one?
Yes. So, uh, I, yes. I finally decided. It's gonna be Grave, the brother. Um, and yes, there's a little bit of pressure on my end to hurry up and choose, and I chose. So I guess I'm getting married, and they want it to be soon. So we're looking at a date about 3 weeks away. If you want to come join us, I know you still might be busy visiting. Dealing with Illy stuff, but if you could find time, I would love for you to be there. I just invited Fish, and I don't have May's current number, I think, but I was wondering if you could pass along to Jamal, because of course he's invited to talk to Sinner and sort of handle that invitation. No rush, of course, but they are pushing me to RSVP for people.
I'll attend, obviously. I just saw Isle. And I also wanted to put a pin on that. Cal would have asked Isle to be like, can you ask mercenaries who have been sent to kill the mercenaries that you know who may have been sent to kill Elyse about being like, do y'all have any tragic king magic? Have you been tracking is that how you've ever like located her? Unfortunately, Tinnis and Pagan strike me as too cheap to hire the goodies, but maybe.
So, in point of fact, Tinnitus is absolutely too cheap to hire the goodies and do anything worth a shit. Pagan is more likely to like hire professionals, but Pagan keeps a degree of plausible deniability that Tinnitus doesn't bother with, so she never does anything that can be like directly tracked down to her because she's still terrified of Elyse.
Yeah.
That goes for the attacks against Elyse and attacks against you in your temple. Is like there's been a lot of times where it's like it's very clear that Pagan was behind this, but I can't directly have any evidence of that. But yeah, Isle is willing to go shake some trees.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, just because like that's a good pod. But then she goes, yeah, I just saw Isle. Did you manage to get an invite to her?
Isle's still around? No, I talked to Goph when I was looking for May's number, and he gave me this little helicopter thing that was supposed to find animals if I told it I told it what Isle was, and it was supposed to deliver the invitation. I have no idea if that worked.
Well, little my dear. So I will be in attendance. I'll need to report back to me. I don't know what the timeline is on, but if she does before that, I'll just if I have to, I'll just keep her in the temple and won't let her leave so she can attend the wedding, if that is what you wish. I
I
will.
There are a couple people who have confirmed from the sanctuary, but most of the guest list, I had to have a little bit of a discussion with my aunt to get invitations for you all at all. Um,
Cal's a little offended at that. She goes,
um,
"Bitch, I'm respectable."
yeah. No, it's true, and you do kind of be like, well, I mean, maybe I would have gotten a maybe I would have gotten an invitation from Lady Dentel directly, but Meadow was clearly like, "Can my friends come?" And she went, "No." But Metal tells you that essentially the guest list is pretty set in stone. It's like 95% her aunt's like business acquaintances and her fiance's family's business acquaintances. A lot of legacy families, a lot of money. She has no one if you and the others don't come.
Yeah. Cal's like, "Yes, no, I understand." Wait, was that a yes to Isle or like there's no room?
Oh no, it was absolutely a yes to Isle.
Okay,
It is
yeah,
like Metal is going to fight and claw for anyone she even sort of knows to show
yeah.
up. Like
No,
this is her little rebellion of like if her aunt's like there's no room, it's like I'll make them stand in the back. Everybody
yeah,
who's friends with me can come.
yeah. If Cal's picking up on those, so she'll be like, I can bring. Is there anyone from the temple besides Jamal that you want? If we manage to rescue Elise in 3 weeks, she will be there in a big way. So that will be another option.
Okay,
Um,
well, that's great. You know, I love your sister. Um Trying to figure out how to politely claw back an invitation.
Cal's
I'm
like,
desperate. At least can come. I'm not that desperate.
Cal goes, "You're right. If we do, she'll be recovering, obviously." Oh, Cal's like, "Who else do you know? Who else do you?" Fuck, I didn't tell you about that. I don't think this would be. This is not a guest list suggestion as so much as a. I didn't tell you when I was asking for help with the police that we found the reflections. They're all still alive.
What?
Mm-hmm.
And you survived?
Physically.
Okay. Well, that's good. Um, so just like your reflection, right? Because
No, all of them. We saw maze and fishes and mine and yours. Um,
okay,
very much yours. We probably spent the most time with yours.
okay. And what was I me? What was other me? What was my reflection? What was she doing?
She has a career in China with one of the mage communities there. She works as a sort of detective.
I
sh-
know. Cool, 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 cool.
and she goes by a different name. She goes by Chantilly,
Okay.
which French, interesting. Um, she she seems very integrated into society there. The they all had that to some degree, but she probably seemed the most, I guess, at ease and attached to the community. People seem to know her. Um, uh, she dressed fairly well, not particularly exciting, but dressed well. Her hair is longer. She has bangs. It looks nice
Ooh, okay.
if you wanted
Well,
to consider it.
okay. Well, I mean, she cut her hair into bangs, which obviously means she's doing worse than you're saying. But yeah, no, that's great. Good for her. And it sounds like she didn't kill you, and you didn't kill her, which is wonderful.
Oh yeah, Mamie wouldn't let me.
Okay. Anyway, it's just like really abrupt transition into not talking about that. Um, she, she says she's got the word out. She's excited to come and see you and come and visit
Mhm.
you. She says that maybe she can help. Once you describe what you've been doing, she's like, maybe I can help by um, seeing if there are tracks in the
Yeah.
earth or something like that. And yeah, is going to come visit you.
Cal is also because she wants as much prep as possible, even in the insanity. This is important. She's like, does your dress need any adjustments? What should we be wearing? What should I be telling May and Fish and Isle to be wearing? What do you want presentation wise from me?
Um, I was told to not worry about the theme and the color scheme and things like that. I think my dress has already been picked out for me.
Cal makes a very sad noise and goes, oh, but that's the part you would like.
Yeah, no. And she's like, I guess I have a tailor and is doing a fitting tomorrow, I think. And yeah, I think maybe just worry about yourself and the others. Try to be nice-ish, but if you're not that nice, that's okay too. I like you guys the way you are.
I do need more instruction on that. A fish will
Okay,
show up in anything. The fish will show up in shorts. You need to give me more instruction on that.
okay, we'll go formal. We'll go long pants and skirts,
Okay.
mostly, not too much skin. Yeah.
No, no. Is black inappropriate or fine?
No, black is fine.
All right.
Try to avoid white. My aunt is already wearing a white dress, so we don't want to take the spotlight away from her. And
Is mhm. Is it would a veil be a gauche on me or any of the other necromancers?
I think if it's black, that's fine. I'm not. I I don't think there's a veil. I think there's a little kind of like crown hairnet attachment for me. So
It's a headpiece, David. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. I will convey that to the others, and we will be there for you. Please understand, just because of the circumstances that we all live in, if we are not there, the world's ending. Or we've been kidnapped. Or somebody is dead.
I
I make
understand.
you that promise.
And I'm mostly uninvolved with the wedding, so I'll help however I can. I don't think I can. I don't think I can really leave. There's rehearsals and stuff like that. But yeah, I can come for a long visit and help out.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you.
I'm really looking forward to seeing you too.
Also, there's an 8-year-old who is like weirdly fixated on you.
I think that's a discussion you have to have in person.
No, I don't think it's happened yet. It would be very funny if Flem comes to the wedding and was like, "That's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen."
Ah,
Patrick's setting up his dominoes to be
yeah.
kicked down in 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, genuinely, I do think it's very funny to have the Feldog dynamics, not only with Flem and Metal, but Flem and Cal too, of just being like, "I'm 8!" And then, like, in the future, Flem being like, "I am 99 years old," and it's like, "But I did know you when you were 8."
Yeah, I did know you when you were very small. Yes, as has been the case, slowly building up in the background, you get the sense from Metal, please, please, for the love of God, please help me, please get me out of this situation, please, please. Metal, are you okay? I'm totally fine. I'm perfect. What are you talking about? I'm great, actually.
Cal's
Please, please, please
plan,
get me out of here. What was that? Nothing.
yeah, Cal's plan of thinking, which she doesn't have a lot, it's like energy to devote to that, is like, I'll let Island Fish and potentially May cause problems, and then I'll go, "Oh my god, no!"
Yeah.
But like, be like, "Go, go, go."
Yeah, there's a lot of reading between the lines of being like, Metal doesn't want to get married. Metal has absolutely no inclination. Like, she wants the kind of like storybook romance, but doesn't like either of her two fiancés. Still is probably pining for her
Jacques.
savior and for
Missy
Jacques
baby, who has
and
his phone number?
and
9?
9 definitely does. And is and is been like keeping both of them as like a delaying tactic, and now it's been 2 years, and it's like that's no longer acceptable. You're getting married now, and so she's like, okay. She has tried like everything in her power, short of actually putting her foot down, to not get married, and it seems like her time is running out. And yeah,
Sad.
she's 20 or 22.
Feeling 22.
Well, she's got to get married now because no one likes you when you're 23. Which is a pop rock song, by Blink 182. And yeah, Metal's gonna be able to help you and visit.
Cool.
As you hang up the sending stone, Hekino is up sitting on your lap, and it's like, it's nice to hear from Metal, but she seems really upset.
She's upset, Kakano. I'm not gonna lie to you. She is. Arranged marriages can be happy things. But if they are happy things, they often still start out sad at first.
Okay. Can we do something about it? Can we make her happy when she comes to visit?
I think you can do a very good job with that. She hasn't seen you in a very long time, I believe, so I think you should spend lots of time with her and
Okay.
try and cheer her up. And
And your nephews and your niece are coming too, right? I haven't seen them in a while, and I want to play with them.
yes, no, I think you'll be having a very nice time. She definitely is like, thank God, because Kekino has been like, you should go to bed. You should stop working. And she's
Yes,
like, you gotta
I was,
distract him.
I was gonna get to that. As you have been spiraling into the Elyse mystery, um, Bridget is typing. Um, as
Ominous.
ominous. As you have been spiraling into the Elyse mystery, you've still been, keeping a hold of the running of the temple. Um, uh, more, uh, more. God, that's beautiful. That looks great. Everybody appreciate Bridget's super fucking sick custom PC setup that she made herself with
Women in
very
STEM.
with very minimal help from me, almost none. God, that's gorgeous. Love the backgrounds too. Yes, as you've been struggling to run the temple, Jamal has to have been stepping up as your proxy, and you have reached the point over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, of being so burned out as to no longer be functional. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Hey, you know what? Added the note to the recording. um, no idea how that works, but we'll find out. Um, you have reached a point of burned out that you never really have before. You're not sleeping, you're barely eating, and Jamal is having to. Uh, uh, so if you're, so Jamal is having to pick up the slack both in running things and in taking care of you. Um, there's a lot of times where he has to sit you down and say, um, if you are not getting enough sleep, Elyse may suffer because of it. You need to rest. You need to take care of yourself. And him and Kekino are really tag teaming you into going to bed sometimes, eating sometimes, drinking water sometimes, and trying to take care of yourself. Um, uh, I believe we spoke about Jamal and the temple being your secondary focus for this time skip. Is that correct?
We did, but I thought I wouldn't be able to do both, so I was going to just do Jamal's being like Jamal stepping in and kind of taking over that role.
Yeah. Okay. Then
And
I.
role as in ROLL, though ROLE also works.
Mhm. And yeah. Unfortunately, that's going to be a persuasion check, which is not his strong suit. You know what? That was okay. Jamal is able to really keep things running. You know, there is not a ton of like new dynamic things that are happening. No new programs, but he finishes getting the library set up. He continues to run the information center, collecting information about the attacks on other necromancers, as well as now Elyse, and has been running the day to day while Cal spirals. And there's been a lot of times where Cal, with her defenses down, has been pulled into a hug, a kiss, a sitting on a lap, and it feels nice in a way that Cal usually doesn't experience because her defenses are so low. You can't even really think self-consciously about yourself. It's even reached the point where, although you're home, Beliala and Rousseau still often stand in for you, just because you can't be yourself yet with Elyse gone, as you are stressing and working and trying to become something to save your sister. Ends up a little bit after your nibblings arrive, your nephews and niece, playing with Kekino, and into this final week of downtime. Jamal has been running you through some issues with the sanctuary that need your approval, and you're essentially just telling him to do whatever he wants because you can't focus on this. But he's been saying that there's been strange lights and sounds appearing in random hallways that people has reported. There is um, a potential delegation from a small temple in America that has sent some letters and may want to meet up and move closer together. There is a number of other sort of bookkeeping things that need to be taken care of, and that uh, on your behalf and with your permission, he reached out to Solomon Wreath to sort of get some of the other necromancers in on it. And they have been passing information on what you know, but still no sign of Elyse. You've gotten more information about this beast creature. You don't know what it is, but Jamal has been able to assemble an archive of pretty much every black dog-like creature from folklore and magical history to narrow it down. And unfortunately, as you're making all this progress, none of it applies to Elyse. And as Jamal finally gets you to sleep that night, probably sometime like 1, 2 in the morning, I think perhaps Cal has reached a point of exhaustion in which she is numb. And so when she has seen the flashing of lights and sounds out of the corner of her eye, I think she assumes they're hallucinations at first. And it's only as she's settling down to sleep, Jamal having put you to bed and was sitting with you while you settled, Kekino now sleeping on your chest to keep you from getting up, doing the classic wait until Jamal leaves and then get up and keep working. As you are settling down, eyes closing, there's a little bit flash of something in the corner of your eye. Another flash of something. And then you realize, because you're in your room, your sanctum, the sigils you have carved into the floor, the hollow spell, is activating slightly. Not fully, not like there's danger, but if there's something here that it's trying to maybe decide whether it should keep out. And I think that's when you realize it's not a hallucination. Something else is here with you as you sit up, and Kekino sleepily rolls off of you as you are ready for a threat, an attack, something. When in front of you, appearing out of nothing and nowhere, seemingly to blink into existence near the walls, you see a glowing creature. And as it turns and focuses on you, it's sort of like a glowing eyeball made of light, with little detached wings and a halo. You recognize it as one of the celestials that Elyse has summoned before. One of the little constructs she can create from this life realm that she has. It looks around wildly, like it can't see you at first, and then all of a sudden it focuses on you and zooms in. Pupil gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you probably realize this is from Elyse and still don't want something up in your face this close. And all of a sudden you are sucked into a vision, a recording, a message. As the temple around you disappears, you find yourself in a place that is unfortunately familiar. You find yourself in the realm of death. Twisting gray rock caverns and caves, howling wind, and that subtle slope makes you walk down and down and down without realizing it. And as you realize you are in the realm of death, you see Elyse in a small cave. Some sort of glowing crystalline construct trapping her in here. She has some meager comforts, but she is stuck. Piles of paperwork, carvings on the walls. You see Elyse addressing the recording of this eye. She kind of gets a look at herself for the first time and goes, "Saints, I really need conditioner. God. All right, let's just..." And she takes a little bit of life magic, and you see her hair gets like a little bit shinier, and all of a sudden the construct around her sharpens and focuses on her and looks like it's going to stab her to death. And she has to stop and let it go very suddenly, and her hair flops back down. Okay, well, that didn't work. But at least Celestial summoned. Cut to like a new recording as if this was something that was supposed to be deleted. Elise's hair is now in a ponytail. Hi, Callie. As you probably know, I am missing. I've been kidnapped by a weird dog thing. As you can probably see, I am in the realm of death, which is not great. Not entirely sure how I got here, to be honest. But you know, I'm keeping myself healthy. I can drain just a little bit of life magic to kind of keep me going, although it is rather dangerous. I seem to be trapped in some way. And unfortunately, things are starting to run out, running a little bit low. I managed to summon the Celestial to get you this message. You know, I might get out, might not. You know, I think it would be good to have a backup plan. You know, you're competent. You'll figure it out. Yeah, you know, I'm just hanging out here. And, you know, it's a little hard to keep track of time. I think I've been in here maybe like a week, something like that. Yeah, I'm just starting to run a little low. The death energy is starting to creep in a little bit. You know, wrinkles are starting to come back, and overall it's not great. So, I don't know, if you could just try and find a way to find me, that would be wonderful. Not super sure where I am, sort of physically in death. You know, clearly I'm not dead. I was just transported here physically somehow. I think I'm sort of like upper middle levels, not too far down. And oh, we passed by a sanctuary, which was of Saint Jerome, the Illuminator. Not a saint I remember, but that might give you kind of general vicinity. That was maybe like an hour's walk from us going past. I don't know. It's hard to keep track. Anyway, I'm rambling. Um, give my love to the kiddos. Of course, tell them they're fine. Um, hell, I swear to God, Callie. Okay, it is just so hard to find good help these days. If you could please call my church. Celica has forgotten my dry cleaning 3 times now in the last year, and it's really frustrating. I got a really nice dress out. I don't know when you're getting it, but if you could call and remind her and also look for me, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's working. That's working. Okay, seems like it recorded. Yeah, I love you, Callie. Come look for me. And bye, I guess. Yeah. Come look for me. It's pretty weird here. Yeah. I don't know. You'll figure it out. I don't know. Maybe I'll send another one. Maybe I'll scrap this one and not send it. Actually, yeah. No, this one's not very good. We're gonna cut this one. And you come back to yourself in your temple. The eye kind of bobbles around, looks away from you, looks at Kekino. Kekino's like, "What is going on?" And then it just sort of like drifts towards the wall and then bloop disappears and is destroyed. Well, you know where Elyse is. And you are now having to reckon with the fact that you are going to have to figure out a way to get physically into death, something that is, generally speaking, not done, and find Elyse in a realm that is theoretically infinite. So, good luck. You find Dr. Skellebones. He's like, I've been studying this exact question for 3 weeks. Also, I can talk now. Yes, you start up in bed, probably can't sleep anymore, go and start to awake the temple and figure out what the fuck you're gonna do about Elyse.
Yeah, Cal's like at first to Kakano being like, "Are you going to let me be awake?"
Yes, I think we need to be awake now. I don't know that was scary. There was a weird eye thing that looked at you and then it disappeared. So if we're like under attack or something, I think that qualifies for, delaying a good night's sleep for just a little bit.
Thank you. Good boy. Um, and then goes to find Jamal.
Thank you, my collagenous. Yeah, hustles out to find Jamal. It is kind of the quiet hours of the day. Necromancers tend to be mostly nocturnal, but not fully. And so while people are up and about, it is sort of like a quiet time for now. Um, uh, and you run out with Kekino and find Jamal and kind of call a little council what to do. Hey, Cal, I heard you were looking for me. What's going on? What's the emergency? Are we under attack again?
No emergency in terms of anything going on to rest, but I've got a message from Elyse, so I know where she is, and that
Oh,
is a
excellent.
bit of a.
That's good, and she's safe.
Mm.
No.
she's in the realm of death. It's hard to tell if this was a recent message or not. It seems like it wasn't, but I don't know how time is passing there. So I have to assume the worst and uh, just go as quickly as possible, I suppose.
Okay. Do you know where she is? Where you're going?
Nope.
Okay. Well, you know what? And he kind of takes your hand and gives it a little squeeze. He's like, "Well, then, whatever happens, we'll take care of this together."
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go.
Gets a little teary and then it's like,
Oh,
ugh.
oh, shh. Wipes a tear off your cheek with a gentle stroke, while Kekino is like, "Collagenous, don't cry," and wipes the other cheek with a slapped flipper. Um,
Her face gets wetter.
yeah. It's now the tear was not pulled up; it's just distributed equally across the cheek. um, yes, I'll go raise some of the others. You'll probably want to talk to Rousseau and Beliala, and we'll have a meeting and try to figure this out. Your room in 10 minutes, we'll say. And is there any resources you want me to grab? Any books or pieces of information or anything like that?
Cal checks to make sure nobody is around and says, just your own kind self, and gives him a kiss on the mouth.
He returns it very sweetly and kind of pulls you close without smothering you. He's treating you a little delicately, not he doesn't like go in for the hug. He kind of like brings you into a half hug and then goes like, "Okay, is she stopping me? No. Okay." Um but yeah, it's very sweet and he runs off to start the meeting. Um uh Kekino goes, "I like him all. He's very nice. And he takes care of you, and that's very nice."
I liked him all too. I'm glad you like him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good as dad, though.
What? What was that?
I didn't say anything. Let's go have a meeting. As you summon your senior necromancers and try to figure out what to do, um, May has been preparing to either come visit you or come join you somewhere, and Fish has, as of like 2 days ago, been back in town. So while you do not want to necessarily be um, uh, calling them for this meeting, at least that is a resource that is available to you. As all of your necromancers gather together, uh, what do you tell them?
Um, Cal lets them know that Elyse that she has a lead on Elyse and she has a lead on Elyse, and she is going to be investigating that. That is going to be very dangerous, but also it's going to be a very interesting, like, theoretical. Not getting into too much details, but like, the necromancers as a whole are pretty smart, so they pretty much read between the lines. But it's going to be a very interesting theoretical journey of somebody who's very well read up on the kind of like spiritual hypotheticals of kind of the religion and like passing through magic and stuff like that. Have any interest and want to work on the project. She is looking for volunteers, but is also totally willing to do this by herself with her dumb friends, because fucking of course. And just is warning about being like, Belial and Russo are potentially looking to be working as me for a while, and we obviously are all familiar with the contingency plans if I die.
Mm-hmm. Um, yes, we have the plastic surgeon to make us look exactly like you on standby. The Belliala volunteers. She says if if you need researchers, she can do it, and so Rousseau volunteers to take over the temple.
Okay. Cal is very grateful, not to both of them. It's like, thank you. That's essential. Um, Also, if anyone wants to attend a wedding,
Rousseau goes, "Yes. Whose is it? Yes." Beliala politely says no, thank you. Um, and yeah, this is your team. You put together a little powwow to try and figure out how to save Elise, at least what this first step is. I think with Beliala and Jamal assisting you, you can give me a religion check with advantage.
with advantage.
Yes, with advantage.
That's a 26.
Oh, our guesses were wrong. Um, with a 26, um, going into death as a normal necromancer is something that necromancers can't and don't do. There are necromancers that live and take care of the necropoli, that is their kind of domain, and they don't really share it with outsiders, even with fellow necromancers. Um, so you need to figure out a way to do that because the necropoli, as far as your research and what you're looking up now tells you, are physical doorways into death. They are what you can walk from this existence through to death. There are other ways to get into death physically. There are certain spells, there are certain summoning rituals. You essentially summon an incredibly powerful revenant that essentially takes you back with them through the veil. Um, and uh, you kind of get these like theoretical determinations of how you could go about this. All of them are very complicated. Either needing to find specialist spells, trying to join the necropolis, which, as far as you know and as far as the others can tell you in their own research, when you join the necropolis, you become like half dead and you don't leave. You are uh, stuck there forever, um, being no longer connected enough with life. You know, a little piece of your soul sheared off that you can no longer like exist far from the death energy of the necropolis. So that is the most direct way. It does mean giving up yourself entirely to even by necromancer terms, a weird cult you don't know anything about. Um, and the other forms of getting there physically are much more difficult. Plane walking is a potential way to do that, although there are sort of, you realize, three problems actually. There is getting there physically, there is navigating there in infinitely changing space. And there is surviving being there, because even if you get there physically, it will start draining the life out of you immediately. With some quick back of the napkin math, you think in the upper middle slope where Elise said she was, you have maybe 5 minutes before you are completely and totally dead, and you've got like 30 seconds in death before you are like permanently disabled. So you got to figure out how to survive as well. Um, with a 26. This is something that every necromancer knows, but not every necromancer knows how to find out more about. Um, the realm of death is this confusing, changing landscape. People untrained see it as the realm of gods or nightmares and essentially hallucinate constantly. Um, Trained people like necromancers see more of its true self, but there is no like landmarks. Every single time you go there, even coming from the same place, the landscape will be entirely different. Um, wind-blown caves and canyons that all look almost identical, and a very subtle grade, so that you, as you just normally walk, end up finding yourself going faster and farther downhill, closer and closer to true death and destruction than you can before you can realize it's happening. There is one thing in the realm of death that stays stable, and that is the sanctuaries. Necromancers give praise to the saints, figures from necromantic lore who some discovered powerful magic, some wrote good works and important doctrine. Some were only important in keeping the necromantic cause alive. But what denotes a saint, or at least what people think denotes a saint, is an inherent unselfishness. Necromancers are terrified of death. That is their founding characteristic, not wanting to die. And because of that, every necromancer of sufficient strength has the capability of trying to keep themselves from dying. That is what the triumvirate represents, is making the selfish choice to try to keep yourself alive when you don't have to. Instead, they want the universal choice, one that stops death for everybody. This dynamic between wanting yourself to live forever and wanting everyone to live forever creates the saints. The saints are those thought to be either so in tune with death because of their philosophy or their magic power, whatever it is that marks them as a saint, that gives them the capability of keeping themselves alive, being able to linger in death, being able to stay in this realm without moving on to the final destination, and choosing not to, choosing to move along into death, choosing to discover the ultimate mystery on the other side, and choosing potentially to help others. It is thought, although firsthand accounts of it happening are very rare and mostly confined to the necropoli, as far as you know, that a necromancer dying of sufficient power while traveling through death will be able to leave some of their power behind. Death sort of physicalizes it as a monument, a small place where you can find comfort and safety and a presence, a sense of will from the necromancer left behind, something that tells you to keep going, to keep pushing. And these are the sanctuaries. They are these metaphysical markers in death, the only thing that is unchanging, and therefore the only way to navigate. Um, as far as you know, even with a 26, none of them have ever been observed being created. The people of the necropoli who go into death with some regularity uh, mark them with the names of the saints they think they belong to, but they have no idea because they're all unmarked. So they all each have a unique name that you get when you touch them, or if you're powerful enough when you get close to them. That essentially creates a map of death. And that is the only way to navigate. But it's also not information that most necromancers can have. How do you get a map into death? So uh, as you think about where you can go from here, all this information you don't have but you need to learn, how to travel, how to survive, and how to find your way, you think of the Grand Archive. think of the Gorgon Temple, this repository of necromantic knowledge, this place that hopefully will have the answers you're seeking, and at the very least will be able to tell you whether it is worth approaching the necropoli or not. And um, as um, as you discuss with the others, you have this plan. Going to the Gorgon Temple, getting access to it however you need to. You've heard there's some kind of like initiation requirement to prove you're a worthy necromancer to have access to the archives, especially um, especially the um, yeah, more like sensitive information. And from there, you can try and discover a way of getting to death, whether it's through the necropoli or plane walking or otherwise, a way to survive in death, whether something like a necronaut suit exists, or if there are spells you can do to protect yourself, um, and how to navigate some kind of map.
I just want to say for the recording that the chat text was talking about the Necronaut suit, and then Ink and Ellie were like, can't fucking remember where that came from because I
Yeah,
would
phase
require retaining
two. Oh
information
my
from
god.
phase two. And I myself, I do have a bit of a stronger knowledge of phase two. I can go for phase one. I could be like, Gordon, actually, sudden death came a shock to everyone, not at least of all himself. Then you ask me to from something in phase two, and I go, they stole the Necronaut suit from a museum with Melissa.
If you want a little peek behind the lore curtain, I, as someone who has not read Phase 2, have decided that the necromancers that live and work in the necropoli are like currently creating and experimenting with necronaut suits as a thing that allows
Can
them
they
to
release it already?
Can we get the what's it called, the prototype?
Prototype?
Don't know. Yeah, make it open source. I think they don't necessarily work super well, but they do exist. And the fact that it's like, oh yeah, they exist outside and they're in a museum, and you have to do a big thing for it in phase 2 is being like, well, I mean, how often does the weird death cult take one of their most prized artifacts like to the outside? You know, there may not be that many that exist to begin with. There may be plenty, and it's just like, who the fuck's gonna give them to you? So yeah, you have your mission. Try to find a way to Elyse without fucking killing yourself.
Whoa.
And this is the other benefit of Fish having checked in and potentially getting more information. I will remind you, Ellie was not here for this arc, that the Tuisu clan, their magic includes the creation of ice hearts, something that traps a soul after death and creates a bubble in death that is a safe place uh, for a soul to reside beyond death. And you may be able to maybe borrow that expertise or figure out making something. You know, maybe May and them can get together and figure out something. Maybe there is a way to use that in some way in your mission, but I don't think you have enough knowledge yet to like figure out how. Just that that's a excuse me, a potential avenue. And so with that, do we want to start the adventure, or are we ending here with our catching up as the party comes together? Metal comes and visits you, and you probably go, "Well, I gotta go. Can you watch my nephews and niece for me?" Metal goes, "Yeah, okay." And you get a babysitter while you, Fish, and May head on out.
I did
Also,
want to.
any other scenes you want to run?
Yeah, I did want a Jamal scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some point before, I guess, Metal arrives and they meet back up, I just imagine Cal at some point is just like super exhausted, just totally burned out, just like in her room, having changed into her nightgown with Jamal there. Very having obviously left the room for her to change, but is now like, and now I'm staying here until I see you fall asleep. um,
Do you think
this
there was a time where Cal was really, really tired and just started changing, forgetting Jamal was in there, and he went, "Whoa!"
yeah, I
Looked
do.
away.
I think that she went, it's fine. He's a gentleman. He wouldn't look. I don't know if this would be pre-Kekano, but if it isn't pre-Kekano's arrival, I think she would have gently been like, Kekano, go talk to someone you're friends with.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna go to the kitchen then. Bye, Collisionist. Collisionist, I know you're
Mm,
getting ready for bed. I'm gonna be back to make sure you're asleep.
I know. I just need to talk to Jamal for a little bit.
Oh, okay, that's fine. As long as you're not trying to get out of sleep, because Jamal talked to me. He said, Kekano, you have to understand the collisionist needs her sleep, and you are the only one who can lay on top of her and make sure that she doesn't get out of bed. Yeah, I did say that. Good job, Kekano. Okay, private talk. Goodbye. Scoots away.
um, Cal sits down on the bed and then after a long pause being like, yeah, no, that's what we gotta do, pats the spot next to her.
um, Jamal makes sure that the door is closed and comes over and sits with her, kind of, thigh to thigh, uh, nice and close, and wraps an arm around her to give her comfort.
Cal is just like taking the arm but also like looking in the opposite direction and is like, so I've been putting off this conversation because so much was going on, and then and then yeah, but then I was talking to Mel about it, so I think I need to talk to you about it, and then I don't know what's gonna happen when I'm not here, and I don't want you to find out from someone who's not me, so I just need to tell you, and
What's happening, Marjorie?
that um uh yeah, so you know that I was on the mission in China with May.
Hmm.
So while we were there, we found out the reflections are still alive.
I think you probably mentioned the reflection,
Yeah.
especially because he would have found out from Sinner if you
Yeah.
delayed too much. But I don't think you went into any detail, so I
Yeah.
think that's the reveal here. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I remember.
Um, so I just they brought you up a lot, actually. Like
Oh, why?
bizarrely, they all mentioned you to me, which is I mean, it makes sense. You are just a class specimen, and there is no reflection equivalent of you, so it makes sense that they would be attached to you and bring you up quite a bit. But they did, which is, I'm concerned someone may show up here or try to contact you, or things might be confusing. And obviously, they have some physical differences, but you never know. And so. Uh,
What
yeah, so
exactly are you asking me about? About reflection collisionist?
I think Cal like pauses and being like, "What do you think I'm asking you about?"
I I think I would hope that you're telling me that if the reflections are still dangerous, they may come here while you're away.
Oh, yes, they may do that. They may do that for nefarious reasons. They may even do it for attempting to assist reasons or for their own motivations or because they want something. The reason I need to tell you about it is because um So,
Cal, you
the
didn't
other
say anything.
okay, yeah, so the other version of me, the reflection, she goes by, Calla, but she still goes by, like, Denier, and I think she still has the full name Caligulus. That's who she is, and then bizarrely, May's name is totally different. It's, Andy Barrows. That's a good one to keep in mind. Metal Chantilly. So changed her last name, and then, Fish is also entirely different. They're, Dr. Ezekiel Flounder, so that's a
That
name
does
to
sound
watch
like a
out
fish
for.
name. Yeah.
It does, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it does make sense. Um, so the thing that I'm trying to say that I want to warn you about in case they ever show up here for better or worse is
Take
that
your time. Whatever it is, I'll understand.
so it seems and appears that Dr. Flounder and Miss Denier are in a romantic relationship, which is really bizarre, and I don't know why that would happen.
What? Just kind of like just kind of like drops the arm that's around you. They are? That's really bizarre. That's strange.
Yes, so I have a theory it might be something to do with the mirrored brains. And
Oh,
Miss Andy Barrow, she hates Sinner. She really does. Has a
I
huge
see.
vendetta,
This is
so
sort of an opposites thing.
the shadow self kind of thing.
Makes sense to me. Okay.
Carl Jung is, yeah, Carl Jung's relevant. I was like, wait, is that
Yes.
anachronistic? No, no, it's fine.
The Jungian shadow self. Jamal's like, I've probably read that book.
But it's a version of fish, so um I don't think it's too paranoid to say if he showed up here, he would try to upset you with that fact. Um they did both try to upset me and Fish with that fact, so yeah, I don't want
Oh,
that to be something you get
fish
surrounded.
fish knows too. Okay. Um, Cal,
Mhm.
I don't like any version of you that is in a relationship with any version of fish. That seems really strange and kind of gross to me.
Mhm.
But he takes your hand and he goes, "I trust you, and uh, no opposite negacal with a messed up mirrored brain dating fish is going to bother me. Thank you for telling me. If they show up, I might, I guess, throw up a little, but I'm not gonna let it affect our relationship. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Oh, I really appreciate that. That's kind of you. Um, yeah, and obviously a shock. And I appreciate your grace and understanding. I would be if there was a version of you that was dating fish, I would be pretty upset, and it would probably take me a little while to remember that I shouldn't be upset with you.
Hmm.
So I get it.
I understand. Yeah. If there was a version of me dating fish, I would be upset.
It was harrowing. It was not. There were some demonstrations.
Demonstrations? What? Collisionist, are you asleep yet?
No, still talking.
Okay. Well, I I guess thank you for telling me. It's not the best news I've ever heard, but it is what it is. So, thank you.
um, I also just had a question for you. It's been It's interesting to kind of see what a different version of me is up to, or even
Mhm.
capable of. And I know we were having conversations about this, and I ended up kind of stopping once I came back and everything was going on with Elyse. But do you find me attractive?
Um, yes. Yeah. 100%, yes. Definitely, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
good,
No,
good.
I am attracted to you. I
Mhm,
also like you, as a person,
mhm,
but I am attracted to you, and
mhm.
um, that is, uh, I know that's not something you are necessarily always comfortable with, but yeah, it has to be said. Yes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But in your understanding, but I'm trying. I guess the positive about this is it makes me realize maybe I thought I was uncomfortable with things that I had that were just I thought that was just the way things were, the way I was, and maybe that's not the case. What about me is attractive?
He is immediately like, you're so nice, and you're like, no, I'm not. It's like, so kind. No, we're talking physical here. So he goes, okay, yeah. So, and then just yeah, explains his attraction to you. He tries to keep it in kind of like clinical-ish terms to
Mhm,
match Cal's vibe. This isn't a very sexy conversation.
mhm.
But yeah, he does describe pretty much all of Cal physically.
Yeah, let's start at the top of your head.
Yes.
Cal is blushing through this conversation and nodding, but like very much of like has taken a notebook out and is like, okay,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
Jamal is weirdly leaning forward, elbows on his knees, like he's
Taking the notebook
uncomfortable,
out and being like,
like he's
okay,
physically
oh,
uncomfortable.
yeah, all right. Oh, all right, thank you. And he's just writing that down and then puts the notebook down and is like, I understand that this is something that is appropriate to reciprocate and reciprocate unless you don't want me to.
I would like you to reciprocate, but only to the level that you are comfortable. But if you feel like your discomfort is coming from a place of, I guess, fear, rather than like actual discomfort with the acts, I would like you to, you know, try and grow in that way, and try it and see if you like it. But it doesn't have to be now or anytime soon. We can build up to it.
Cal's eyes wide and she meant, I meant reciprocate in the saying what I thought was a physically a pleasing feature of your physicality.
Oh. It's just like blushes so hard. Sure, that's good too.
I like your hands.
Okay, hands, good.
Just because they do the conversation like that.
Yeah, they have this incredibly awkward conversation. Does it end up going anywhere in this conversation?
Oh, like physically?
Give me a kiss while my hand is on your waist. Okay, that was a thing we tried.
Yeah.
Go team.
Yeah. No, I think there is, especially because Cal is tired and she is like the like while tired is way more okay with like cuddling and stuff like that. And then I think that is something that's kind of thing. And it's also like she's kind of got like a yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Anything that bitch can do, I can do.
Yeah, which Jamal does not get, but is like, the energy is great. Weird, but great.
Yeah. No, I think she's really too sleepy to do anything too adventurous, but I do think there's some kissing and cuddling, and Kekno just starts like being like the cat's like scratching at the door and putting his
Mhm.
clippers under.
Yeah, there's
That
probably
said, if Jamal and Callie are alone for too long, I have to intervene.
yes, I have to be there. I'm required. I think, yeah, I think eventually you reach a point where, bedclothes come back on slash stay on and open the door for Kekano, and maybe Jamal sleeps there that night, and Kekano gets to cuddle with both of them.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fish is in town, wakes up in a cold sweat.
Yeah. Kekano's like, it's not as good as if it was Dad and Colliginous, but
Yeah.
but it's
Like,
still okay.
says this out loud to Jamal as a compliment.
Yeah.
And Jamal's like,
Oh, thank you.
oh, wow. You think about that a lot, bud?
Well, it's just that, Reflection Kekino, who I call Kekino. Kekino is, he stays with his, mama and papa, and he sleeps in a big bed with them, and he says it's real nice, and he described it a lot, and it does sound real nice, and he was bragging a lot, so next
Cal,
time I see him, I wanna be like, "Guess what? I slept in a big bed with my papa and also Colliginous."
Cal, half asleep, is like, yeah, this is exactly what I meant. I didn't want this to be the. No.
Okay. Jamal, get comfy. I gotta dig in. And that's how they pass the night. Any other scenes that anybody wants to do? I I do realize there is one piece of information that I forgot to give in the decision to go to the Gorgon temple. Uh, Gorgon is in Iran.
Hmm.
It is a old kind of homeland of necromancy before
Mhm.
it slowly moved west and became more centered in Europe. It's a temple that's been around for like a long, long time. The Paris and Dublin temples are like, we had a temple that served this function and had this name elsewhere, and then we moved that. This has been a necromantic temple for pretty much like 2,500 years.
Cinder's
Has
like,
not moved.
so do you and your friends go around like being like, what's the most dangerous place on the planet we can go?
See, fun fact: this is 1955 Iran run by the Shah, which means as long as you are white and not critical of the government, you're fine. If you're brown and critical of the government, you disappear. It's way safer for you visiting than it is for natives. It's uh you've got like 14 years before all of a sudden it becomes way more dangerous.
Cinder's like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like a vacation. As long as
Yeah.
you don't go into the fucking death realm, man. You wait outside.
Yeah.
You're the chaperone. You're the one holding the rope.
Iran was a vacation destination at this point in time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, I know the ink was saying something. I had to change my laundry.
I wasn't saying anything yet. I was just thinking about saying
Thinking.
something.
Yeah.
Which no, I would like to talk about it because I'm so very excited. Fish's AC is going up by 2.
Mm-hmm. Fish prioritized in this level up AC and being a little bit spongier, and so did May.
Nice.
Yeah. May got some slightly nicer armor. Moved up to a medium armor. And yeah, tank squad. Cal gets even more sneaky stealthy, and the two of you are like, well, I guess we have to take some hits sometimes.
Yes.
All right. Anything else we want to run or have happen before we close out session? I find that the kind of like time skip sessions need to be somewhat self-enclosed because
Yeah.
it's a lot of me talking and
We'll
nobody's like,
recap.
nobody's like, oh, well, we'll do this now.
Fish is gonna go to Metal's wedding. They just hate weddings, but
Yeah.
they're gonna do it.
We'll see if Metal has the wedding because she really
Yeah,
doesn't want to. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fully like, oh no, I could get you out of here. We could do a runaway bride, not romantically. Like I'm doing this as your sibling. Uh, have you seen
There are some
The
cultures that have.
Graduate?
Yeah.
Have you seen The Graduate? And Mel goes, it's not out yet. It's like, it's just,
Fish, you're
okay,
talking about movies that don't exist yet. Again.
yeah. She's just used to it at this point.
Mhm. In some cultures they have spousal kidnapping, but that's mostly for weddings. Maybe we do like a reverse spousal kidnapping. Yeah. All right. Then, if there's nothing else that we want to get into, I think that that is where we end today's session. And we will see you next time for Well Dressed Bones as our party reconvenes and flies to Iran. All right. Goodbye, everyone. We'll get Craig out of here.
Bye.
Goodbye, Craig.